The quiet colony, the planet Haven 6, was quiet. Its sky was soft blue, with twin moons glowing faintly during the day. The air was fresh, the rivers were clear, and the soil was rich. Humanity had chosen this world carefully. It was a place where families could live far from Earth, free from the endless politics of the galaxy. The colony was not large, just a few thousand men, women, and children. They built houses of metal and stone, farms of green crops, and roads that stretched across the valley. Laughter of children echoed between the hills, and the hum of machinery filled the mornings. To the colonists, life felt safe. The galaxy was vast, and who would care about one small human colony so far from the center? But in the darkness of space, something watched. Captain Elias Ward stood on the balcony of the colony's command center. His eyes scanned the horizon, where farms spread endlessly. He had served in Earth's fleet before retiring here. To him, the colony was more than land, it was a promise that humans could thrive anywhere, even on the edge of the galaxy. Inside the command center was quiet. A few young technicians monitored scanners, their voices calm. No danger, no signals, no threats. Just the colony heartbeat, the steady rhythm of generators and weather systems. But then, a small flicker appeared on the main screen. A signal weak, almost hidden. Probably interference, one of the technicians said. But Elias leaned closer. He had seen this before. It was not interference. It was movement. Far above Haven 6, cloaked ships drifted in silence. They were not human. Their hulls were sharp and black, like blades against the stars. Their commanders watched the colony below, with cold, amused eyes. The aliens had studied humans for centuries. To them, Earth's colonies were young and weak. They whispered among themselves, laughing. A soft target. A colony with no fleet, no warships, no defense worth noting. They will scream. They will burn. For them, it was sport. Back on Haven 6, the colonists knew nothing. Children ran through the fields, chasing drones shaped like birds. Farmers loaded carts of grain. Engineers tested water pumps. The colony was alive, vibrant, unafraid. Dr. Mira Hayes, the lead scientist, recorded soil samples. She loved the silence of Haven 6, the peace it brought. She believed humanity could build something lasting here. But when she passed the colony square, she noticed Captain Elias standing still, staring at the sky. "You look worried," she said. Softly, Elias nodded. "I don't like silence when scanners flicker." Myra frowned. "You think it's nothing, right?" But Elias did not answer. As night fell, the colony lights glowed across the valley. Families gathered for meals, laughter filling the air. Yet the command center remained tense. Elias stayed awake, eyes locked on the screen. The flicker returned, this time stronger. The technician's voice trembled. "Sir, that's not interference. Multiple objects, inbound." Elias closed his fist. He knew the colony was not alone anymore. Above the colony, the alien fleet prepared. Cruisers powered their weapons. Fighters swarmed like insects, and their commander smiled. To him, this would be over in minutes. Humans, he said to his crew, think themselves predators, but they are prey. This colony will be our feast. The alien fleet began to descend. Meanwhile, in the colony square, a strange silence fell. Dogs howled. Birds took flight, vanishing into the dark. Children looked up at the stars where new shapes were moving, shapes that should not be there. One colonist pointed at the sky. "Do you see that? The stars themselves seemed to vanish behind the shadows of alien ships. The first scream tore. Through the crowd, the alarm rang through Haven 6. Red lights filled the colony. Elias stormed into the command hall. "Prepare defenses, now," he barked. "But sir," one technician stammered, "we can't fight a fleet. We don't have ships." Elias turned sharply. "We don't need ships, just time. Trust me." The colony's hidden systems activated. Across the valley, bunkers opened, revealing turrets that rose from the earth. Drones powered up, glowing red eyes scanning the sky. Deep underground, something older, something built for war. Awakened, the colonists had lived in peace, but peace had never blinded humanity. They always prepared. Above, the aliens locked weapons, ready to fire. But as they prepared their first strike, the colony below was no longer quiet. Turrets rotated. Drones took flight. Energy shields shimmered across the command center. Elias watched the scanners as the alien fleet descended. His face was hard, unshaken. "Let them come," he whispered. The colony that once seemed soft, small, and defenseless was about to prove the galaxy wrong. Asterisk, the first strike, the night sky above Haven 6 cracked with fire. Alien warships descended like shadows, blotting out the stars. Their black hulls glimmered with crimson lights as their weapons charged. To the colonists below, it was a nightmare. The quiet world turned into a battlefield in seconds. Panic spread through the colony. Families rushed into bunkers, alarms wailed, and the ground shook as the first alien shots struck the defensive shields. Energy flared bright, covering the command center like a glowing dome. Captain Elias Ward stood in the control hall, his jaw set. His eyes moved from screen to screen, watching the alien formation above. He had seen battles before. He knew how fleets moved. But this was not Earth's fleet, was different. The aliens attacked like hunters, circling their prey with cruel patience. The technician's voice cracked. "Sir, incoming heavy fire. Shields at 70%. Elias didn't flinch. "Activate all turrets. Launch drones. I want the sky lit with fire." On the valley floor, hidden bunkers opened. Massive turrets rose, their barrels glowing with blue plasma energy. From launch bays beneath the farms, swarms of defense drones shot upward, their engines buzzing like angry hornets. The colonists had always known they might face a day like this. Humanity's history was filled with enemies who underestimated them. Haven 6 had been prepared, though no alien knew it. The first wave of alien fighters broke through the clouds, sleek and sharp, like knives. They dived toward the colony, their cannons spitting red bolts of energy. But before they could reach the surface, the human defenses answered. Plasma turrets roared to life, sending blazing streaks into the sky. Explosions lit the heavens as the first alien ships were torn apart. The colonists watching from bunkers gasped. They had thought themselves weak, but the colony had teeth. In orbit, the alien commander snarled. His eyes burned as he saw his fighters explode like fireflies. He had expected a slaughter, not resistance. "Send the cruisers," he ordered coldly. "I want this colony burned to ash." The alien fleet obeyed. Massive cruisers shifted formation, charging their heavy weapons. To them, no settlement could survive a direct strike. Inside the command hall, Dr. Mira Hayes gripped the railing. Her hands trembled. "We can't hold against cruisers, Elias. This is too much." But Elias only narrowed his eyes. "We don't need to hold forever. We just need to hold long enough." Mira frowned. Long enough, for what? Elias didn't answer. His silence was heavier than any words. The alien cruisers opened fire. Beams of red light lanced through the night, slamming into the shields. The colony shook violently. Buildings cracked, glass shattered, and dust filled the air. The shields blazed bright, struggling to hold. Shields at 40%. The technician shouted, "Redirect power from the secondary grid." Elias commanded, "Keep them up, no matter what." The ground forces fought with everything they had. Turrets locked onto cruisers, their plasma blasts tearing chunks of metal from alien hulls. Defense drones zipped between beams, firing small but deadly shots into weak points. The sky became chaos, a storm of fire and light. Children in bunkers held onto their parents as the walls shook. But through the noise, they heard the roar of human weapons fighting back. For the first time, fear mixed with hope. One alien cruiser broke formation, diving lower. Its massive cannons aimed at the colony square. If it fired, everything would end. Elias leaned forward. "Target that cruiser. Everything we have." Turrets locked, drones swarmed, plasma fire streaked the sky. The cruiser unleashed its shot, a burning red beam that tore through the shield. The dome cracked and collapsed in a flash of light. The colonists screamed. The colony was exposed, but before the cruiser could fire again, the human turrets struck its engines. Drones swarmed its hull, exploding in bursts of fire. The alien ship shuddered, groaned, and fell from the sky like a dying beast. It crashed into the distant hills, a blazing wreck that lit the valley like a second sun. The colonists erupted in cheers. For the first time, the aliens had tasted defeat. But in orbit, the alien commander only grew colder. He leaned back in his throne, his voice sharp and cruel. "These humans resist longer than expected. No matter, they will break." He raised his clawed hand. "Prepare the next strike. Release the war beasts." A silence filled the alien bridge. Then, with heavy chains rattling, monstrous shapes began to stir within the alien hangars. Creatures bred for war, massive and armored, hungry for flesh. Back on Haven 6, Elias watched the scanners. A new signal appeared, larger, heavier, unlike ships. His eyes darkened. "They're not done," he whispered. Mira stepped closer. "What do you see?" Elias finally answered. His voice was like iron. "They're sending something worse than ships." The colony had survived the first strike, but now something far deadlier was coming. The quiet colony that had once been only farms and homes was standing against an empire's fury. The fight was only beginning, and Elias knew the galaxy would never forget what happened here. The war beasts. The sky was still burning from the fallen cruiser when the colony scanners screamed with new alarms. Strange signals pulsed from the alien fleet. They were not ships, not drones, not weapons humans had ever seen before. Captain Elias Ward stood frozen as the screen lit with moving red dots, dropping fast from orbit. "What in God's name?" he whispered. Dr. Myra Hayes stared in horror. The signals were huge, each one the size of a building, yet moving fast like falling meteors. "They're alive," she breathed. The command center fell silent. Every colonist on duty knew those words meant only one thing. The aliens were not just sending ships anymore. They were sending monsters. High above Haven 6, the alien cruisers opened their massive bays, chains rattled, and the cages opened. Creatures bred for war giants, wrapped in black armor plates, claws like blades, and eyes glowing crimson were released. They roared into the void as their pods broke away, entering. The atmosphere like falling stars dot from the bunkers. The colonists saw streaks of fire tearing through the sky. Children gasped, thinking more ships were coming. But when the pods hit the ground, the truth became clear. The pods cracked open with deafening roars. Out of them crawled beasts taller than houses. Their jaws dripped with acidic saliva. Their skin was covered in spikes that shimmered like metal. And when they screamed, the air itself shook. The first beast slammed its claw into a human watchtower, crushing steel like paper. Alarms howled as colonists shouted warnings. Turrets spun. Drones swarmed. And plasma fire lit up the beasts. But the aliens had designed them for war. One beast took a direct plasma blast to the chest. Instead of falling, its armor absorbed the hit. The energy spread across its body like lightning, and the monster roared louder, charging forward with terrifying speed. It leaped, crushing 3 drones in its claws, then smashed into a plasma turret. Ripping it from the ground, colonists inside the bunkers screamed as the beast's shadow passed overhead. Elias gritted his teeth. Keep firing, aim for the joints. Don't waste shots on the armor. The turrets adjusted. Plasma blasts tore into the beast's legs and underbellies. One creature staggered, roaring in pain. Drones swarmed its weak point, pouring fire into the wound. Finally, the monster fell, its massive body shaking the valley floor. The colonists cheered, but their victory was short-lived. 2 more beasts emerged from the hills, their claws glowing with alien energy. They moved faster, learning from the first one's fall. They're adapting, Mira whispered. Her face was pale. They're intelligent. The beasts charged together, smashing into defense lines. One rammed its head into a bunker, cracking its outer wall. Families screamed inside. The other beast leaped at the command dome itself. Its claws tore into the roof, ripping open steel as sparks rained down. Elias didn't hesitate. He grabbed his rifle from the wall. "Captain, you can't," Myra began. "I can," Elias cut her off. His voice was steady. "If they want monsters, then they'll see what humans can do." Outside, chaos ruled. Soldiers ran between burning structures, firing everything they had. The beasts tore through the colony, their roars drowning out human voices. Elias stormed into the battlefield, his rifle glowing with blue plasma rounds. He climbed atop the rubble of a fallen tower, aimed, and fired straight into one beast's exposed eye. The shot landed. The monster roared in agony, thrashing violently. Soldiers cheered as it stumbled back, blinded on one side. But victory came. At a cost. The other beast smashed its claw into the ground, sending a shock wave that threw men and women through the air like dolls. Screams filled the night dot in the command center. Mira's hands shook as she worked the consoles. She activated a desperate plan, releasing the ion mines buried deep in the valley. "Elias, bring them toward the ridge," she shouted into the coms. Elias didn't ask why. He fired at the monsters, taunting them, running toward the ridge with soldiers following. The blinded beast roared and gave chase, shaking the earth with each step. The second beast followed, its jaws dripping acid that burned holes into the ground. Elias reached the ridge and dove for cover. Myra pressed the control. The valley erupted. Hidden ion mines exploded in waves of blue light. Energy surged into the beasts, wrapping their armored bodies with lightning. They shrieked in pain, their roars echoing across the mountains. When the light faded, one beast lay dead, smoke rising from its corpse. The other, though wounded, limped back toward the hills, roaring in fury as it retreated. For a moment, silence fell. The colonists stood staring at the battlefield. Bodies lay on the ground, smoke rose from broken turrets, but the beasts were down. They had survived the impossible. But Elias did not smile. His eyes were fixed on the stars above, where the alien fleet still loomed. He whispered to himself, that was only the beginning. Myra walked to him, her voice trembling. If that was their test, what comes next? Elias looked at the sky, his jaw tight. Next, they'll come themselves. And when they do, we'll show them why no one takes Earth for prey. The colony had defeated monsters, but the war was far from over. The real fight was only waiting above. The fall of shadows. The beasts were gone. One dead in the valley, one limping into the dark hills. The colonists of Haven 6 thought maybe, just maybe, they had survived the worst. But the sky betrayed them. The alien fleet above shifted. Their ships turned, glowing like burning knives in the black void. It was no longer testing, no longer waiting. Now they were coming. Captain Elias Ward stood at the edge of the command dome, watching the stars. His face was pale but steady. Behind him, Dr. Mira Hayes studied the sensors. Her voice was quiet but heavy with fear. They're moving in. Formation, she whispered. Not just one ship, not just beasts, all of them. On the screen, red shapes formed a deadly wave. 20 ships, cruisers larger than anything humanity had built. Their shadows fell across the colony, blocking out the starlight. The colonists inside the bunkers began to pray. Mothers held their children close. Soldiers checked their rifles with trembling hands. The aliens had tested Haven 6. Now they were ready to finish it. Without warning, the sky erupted. Bolts of green energy screamed down like falling suns. They struck the colony walls, vaporizing steel and rock in explosions of fire. Towers collapsed, ground cracked. Buildings shook as if the planet itself was breaking apart. Screams filled the comms. Sector 4 is gone. The east defense is burning. They're cutting us apart. The colony's plasma turrets returned fire, sending blue beams into the sky. Drones swarmed upward, diving at the alien ships. But against the Empire's fleet, it was like throwing stones at mountains. Drones exploded mid-air, ripped apart by alien guns. Turrets were silenced one after another. The sky turned into a graveyard of burning wreckage. Inside the command dome, Elias slammed his fist on the console. We can't match their firepower. We hold too long. We lose everyone. Myra turned to him, her voice shaking. Then what do we do? He looked at her, his eyes burning. We don't fight their shadows. We drag them into our light. Elias activated the emergency comms, his voice echoing across every bunker. This is Captain Ward. You all know what's coming. We cannot outgun them, but we can outthink them. We fight from the ground. We bleed them until they remember why humans are never easy prey. If you can hold a weapon, hold it. If you can't help the wounded, tonight we fight not for Haven 6 alone, but for Earth. His words spread through the tunnels, sparking fire in hopeless eyes. Men and women who had been ready to die now gripped their weapons tighter. The first alien dropships broke through the firestorm. They landed like falling blades, crushing the ground as their doors split open. From inside marched soldiers of the Empire, tall, armored figures with skin pale as ash. Their helmets glowed red, their weapons humming with energy. Their voices hissed in an alien tongue, promising death. Elias saw them from the rubble of the west wall. His rifle hummed in his hands. He raised it and shouted, "Open fire." The colony roared. Rifles screamed, plasma burned, grenades flashed. The humans fired from cover, from rooftops, from shattered bunkers. The alien soldiers answered with their own weapons, tearing holes through walls and men alike. The battlefield turned into chaos. Mira was in the medical station, her hands red with blood as she tried to save the wounded. But her eyes kept flicking to the window, where flashes of green and blue fire lit the night. Outside, Elias moved like a shadow himself. He fired, ducked, and fired again, his aim perfect. 3 alien soldiers fell under his shots, their glowing armor shattering. But the aliens kept coming. For every one that fell, 2 more took its place. Their discipline was terrifying, their formations unbroken even under heavy fire. Suddenly, a deafening roar shook the battlefield. The second beast, the wounded one that had retreated. Its body was scarred, one eye gone, but its rage was endless. It leaped from the hills straight into the colony's center. The humans scattered. The beast smashed into a bunker, tearing it apart like clay. Alien soldiers ducked aside as the monsters. Fury didn't care for sides. It tore through everything. Elias cursed. The aliens had unleashed not just soldiers, but chaos itself. Myra's voice came over the comms. "Captain, bring it toward the fuel depot." Elias didn't question her. He shouted orders, soldiers firing at the beast to draw it away. It followed, roaring, charging blindly. When it reached the depot, Myra hit the detonator. The night exploded. The entire depot ignited in a fireball that lit the sky like a second sun. The beast screamed, its armored body ripped apart in the blast. Alien soldiers near it were vaporized, their formations broken. For the first time, the humans had not just survived, they had struck back. But the victory lasted seconds. Above the alien cruisers shifted again. Their weapons glowed brighter. This was no longer about testing, or even conquering. This was about erasing Haven-6. Myra's face went pale as she read the sensors. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They're preparing a full strike. They'll burn everything." Elias clenched his fists, staring at the burning sky. He knew what it meant. The Empire was about to unleash their final shadow. Asterisk, the final dawn. The colony of Haven-6 was burning. Fires lit the sky. Ash rained down like black snow. Men and women screamed in tunnels. Soldiers bled on the ground. And the shadow of the alien fleet grew larger overhead. Captain Elias Ward stood on the ruined wall, his rifle shaking in his hands. His voice was low, but steady. "They're preparing the final strike," he said. "If they fire, everything dies." Dr. Myra Hayes looked at the burning sky, her face pale but sharp with thought. She had seen the sensor data. The alien cruisers were charging their main weapons. Once they fired, Haven-6 would be nothing but glass and dust. The people had minutes left. The alien army pressed forward. Their soldiers marched through the ruins, their weapons glowing, their discipline unbroken. Human defenses cracked and splintered under the pressure. But even as hope thinned, the humans fought harder. From every shattered bunker, from every broken street, rifles blazed. Farmers, engineers, and miners fought alongside soldiers. Their eyes burned not with fear, but with fury. The aliens had thought Earth's colony would be easy prey. But even as their ships prepared to unleash death, they began to feel something else await. A resistance, a truth they had not expected. Humans refused to die quietly. Inside the command dome, Myra's fingers danced over the controls. Her eyes widened as she found something buried deep in the system. "Captain," she shouted, "there's an old failsafe, a weapon built into the colony's heart, something the first engineers left behind in case of this." Elias turned, his eyes narrowing. "What kind of weapon?" Mira hesitated. Her voice was grim. "A star core detonator. It pulls power directly from the planet's mantle. If we trigger it, it won't just hit the fleet. It will rip the sky open." The room went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. It wasn't just a weapon, it was suicide. Haven 6 would not survive the blast either. Elias clenched his jaw. His heart was heavy, but his voice was clear. "If we do nothing, they kill us all anyway. If we use it, maybe the galaxy learns what humans are made of." The decision was made. Myra began the activation sequence. Screens glowed red, alarms wailed, the ground itself trembled as energy surged beneath the colony. Elias grabbed his cum. His voice echoed across every tunnel, every shelter, every soldier still standing. "This is Captain Ward. We have one chance. One. The aliens came here thinking we were weak, thinking Earth's children would fall in silence. They were wrong. Tonight, we show them what it means to fight humans. Tonight, we remind the galaxy that we are devoured. If you have strength left, fight. If you have hope left, hold it. And if you have nothing left, then give them hell anyway." His words spread like fire. The colonists screamed back in defiance, their voices rising through the smoke. The alien fleet fired. Bolts of green light rained from the heavens, each one large enough to erase an entire block. The colony shook, walls collapsed, firestorms ripped through the streets. But in the chaos, humans pushed forward. Grenades flew. Plasma beams burned. Colonists charged alien soldiers head-on, using knives, mining tools, even bare hands when their weapons broke. Every second they bought was one more for Mira to finish the sequence. Elias fought at the front, his rifle glowing. Hot, he cut down alien after alien, his voice hoarse from shouting orders. Beside him, wounded men refused to fall, dragging themselves into the fight. It was madness. It was slaughter. But it was also human. Inside the dome, Mira entered the final code. The ground shook violently as the star core detonator roared to life. Energy surged through ancient conduits, building toward something unstoppable. "Captain," she whispered into the cum, "it's ready." Elias looked at the battlefield. The aliens pressed harder, closer, overwhelming every line. Behind him, his people bled. In the sky, the fleet charged their cannons again. There was no time left. He pressed the final command. The earth screamed. A blinding light erupted from the colony's heart, brighter than any sun. It shot into the sky like a pillar of fire, striking the alien fleet. The cruisers tried to fire back, but the beam tore through their shields like paper. One by one, their massive shapes cracked, exploded, and fell. The night became a storm of shattered ships, raining metal and flame. On the ground, alien soldiers froze. Their discipline shattered as their fleet, their gods of war, died above them. The humans did not stop. They struck with everything they had left, tearing through. The broken enemy. For the first time, the aliens knew fear, but the light kept growing. Myra staggered as the consoles melted. The detonator had gone beyond control. Energy screamed upward, ripping holes in the clouds, shaking the heavens. The colony itself began to break apart. Elias stood in the firestorm, his rifle gone, his body broken. He looked at his people, bloody, burning, but unbowed. He looked at the sky, where the alien fleet had been, and where now only wreckage remained. And he smiled. The final explosion came like the birth of a new star. It swallowed Haven 6, the aliens, the battlefield. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. When the light faded, nothing remained of the colony but ash and silence. The aliens who had come to claim easy prey were gone, erased by the very people they thought weak. Far away, in the cold halls of the Empire, word spread. An entire fleet lost. A human colony destroyed, but not conquered. Whispers grew. Fear spread. For the first time, the Empire realized the truth. Humans were not prey. They were the hunters in the dark. And even in death, they had the power to shake the stars.